What if inflation is not a policy failure, but a requirement of the system itself? What if the reason prices keep rising is not greed, corruption, or bad decisions, but the simple fact that the monetary system cannot survive without stealing value from the future? And what if the technologies that are supposed to make life easier, from automation to artificial intelligence, actually threaten to expose just how broken the foundation really is? Jeff Booth believes we are standing at the edge of that realization, where productivity is exploding, prices should be falling, and yet control, surveillance, and debt are accelerating instead. He argues that Bitcoin is not just an asset reacting to this system, but a protocol that reveals its contradictions, restores individual agency, and quietly forces the world to choose between control and abundance. If he is right, then most people are measuring wealth, freedom, and risk using the wrong lens entirely. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another podcast summary video. In this one, we break down Jeff Booth's recent appearance on the Bitcoin Matrix podcast, where a deceptively simple question about how economies should behave in an age of rapid technological progress becomes the starting point for a much deeper discussion. Rather than focusing on markets or prices, Jeff works from first principles, asking why a world defined by automation and efficiency still feels financially unstable and increasingly constrained. As the conversation develops, that question expands into a broader examination of money, productivity, and the trade-offs modern societies have made in the name of stability and growth. Jeff connects rising technological capability with mounting fragility and control, offering a framework that challenges common assumptions about progress, prosperity, and the systems people depend on every day. The episode is about an hour long, but we've distilled the most important ideas into a clear, structured breakdown, so you can focus on what actually matters without having to listen to the entire conversation. If you find these summaries useful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. It genuinely helps support the channel and keeps this content coming your way. Now sit back, relax, and let's walk through Jeff Booth's argument from first principles and why it leads somewhere most people are not prepared for. Jeff begins by challenging an assumption so fundamental that most people never stop to question it. The idea that rising prices are natural, necessary, or a sign of a healthy economy. In a world defined by human progress, technology, and innovation, prices should fall over time because each generation builds on the discoveries, tools, and efficiencies of the last. As production improves, coordination expands, and resources are optimized, the natural state of an economy should be one of abundance, not scarcity. Yet, the fact that prices continue to rise in a world of accelerating technological capability is not a failure of markets, Jeff argues. It is a signal that the system itself has been warped, forcing outcomes that defy what a free market would naturally produce. Jeff explains that the distortion arises from a debt-based monetary system that cannot survive deflation. When prices fall, debt obligations become heavier in real terms, creating systemic pressure that demands constant expansion of credit to avoid collapse. This transforms inflation from an incidental outcome into a structural necessity. As debt grows to extreme scales, free markets cannot operate naturally because any meaningful deflation would instantly reveal insolvencies across institutions, governments, and the financial system itself. Jeff emphasizes that this isn't theoretical. Historical cycles show the same pattern, where financial systems overlevered on debt are forced to inflate continuously, with real-world consequences for anyone outside the institutional loop. Monetary distortion, Jeff notes, does not stop at prices. It spreads into politics, regulation, and everyday life. Systems dependent on debt expansion must also impose control, because unchecked instability threatens their very existence. This drive for predictability manifests as surveillance, tighter regulation, and incremental restrictions on individual choice. Jeff points out that history repeatedly confirms this pattern. Societies that begin with decentralized freedoms often see increasing social and political centralization once monetary centralization takes root, creating a feedback loop where stability and control reinforce each other, often without a single actor intentionally planning it. Jeff observes that most people misunderstand wealth because they measure it using a unit of account designed to degrade over time. In a fiat system, financial security is a moving target. As money loses value, the threshold to feel safe rises steadily, forcing constant participation in markets, wage labor, and financial instruments that individuals do not control. This creates the illusion of progress. People see numbers increasing but fail to notice the shrinking real power of their money. Jeff stresses that this is not a question of poor discipline or intelligence. It is a structural consequence of tying success to a currency engineered to erode purchasing power. When Jeff introduces Bitcoin, it is not as a trading opportunity, but as a lens for understanding systemic contradictions. Bitcoin's fixed supply prevents the subtle expansion of money that distorts incentives and hides the effects of innovation. In this system, technological progress naturally pushes prices down instead of forcing people to chase ever higher incomes just to maintain stability. Jeff emphasizes that Bitcoin is the logical endpoint of reasoning from first principles. Once the constraints of debt, inflation, and centralization are fully understood, Bitcoin emerges not as a speculative asset, but as a neutral framework in which value and productivity can align more naturally. Jeff warns that treating Bitcoin purely as something to buy, sell, or leverage misses its essential significance. If framed solely as an investment, it risks being absorbed into the same financial structures that dominate fiat markets, ultimately eroding what makes it unique. Instead, Bitcoin should be understood as a protocol, similar to the internet, a stable base layer upon which innovation and experimentation can occur without permission. Jeff stresses that this shift in perspective from asset to system changes how people interact with money and power, offering a rare opportunity for structural independence in a world designed to centralize control. Jeff elaborates on Bitcoin's layered design, explaining why it is not a limitation but a feature. Like the internet, which evolved through successive improvements in speed, usability, and privacy, Bitcoin scales through multiple layers: settlement networks, payment systems, and privacy tools. These layers allow the network to grow without sacrificing decentralization, security, or neutrality. Privacy, in particular, is essential. Without it, monetary power simply shifts from one centralized system to another, disguised as transparency. For Jeff, the layered architecture of Bitcoin creates real optionality and agency for individuals, giving them tools to navigate an increasingly controlled environment. Throughout the conversation, Jeff repeatedly returns to the theme of agency, describing it as the most misunderstood casualty of the modern financial system. Custodial products, paper claims, and derivatives all replicate dependency, even under the guise of convenience or safety. True ownership, he explains, requires holding your own keys, running your own infrastructure, and taking responsibility for the systems you rely on. Agency is not about timing markets or predicting outcomes. It is about removing points of failure that are outside your control and creating the freedom to act independently when conditions inevitably shift. Jeff pushes back against the idea of a single, conspiratorial actor controlling the system. Incentives drive behavior, not intention, and assuming otherwise fosters passivity and confusion. Bitcoin survives not because it is impervious to attack, but because enough people choose to maintain and defend it. Power is distributed across nodes and participants, reflecting the decentralized ethos of the system. Jeff highlights that understanding this principle is critical. Responsibility is shared, and so is the capacity to affect change, whether the broader population recognizes it or not. Jeff connects artificial intelligence to monetary dynamics, showing how it accelerates deflationary pressure. AI reduces the cost of cognitive labor, drives marginal costs towards zero, and amplifies productivity far faster than existing monetary systems can accommodate. In a debt-based economy, these gains are absorbed by institutions rather than flowing to individuals, intensifying inequality and centralization. Bitcoin, Jeff argues, provides a framework for these benefits to reach people directly, allowing the fruits of technological advancement to translate into actual purchasing power instead of further entrenching financial hierarchies. Jeff closes with the idea that Bitcoin transforms behavior before it transforms institutions. Those who internalize its principles tend to cooperate more, plan longer term, and disengage from systems that reward control over contribution. As more people adopt this mindset, parallel structures emerge organically, without force or coercion. Bitcoin does not impose a new order. It illuminates a better one and allows people to choose it voluntarily. According to Jeff, the real power of Bitcoin is in how it shapes the actions, values, and agency of its participants, creating change from the ground up.